Welcome to the Nightbox Soapbird Podcast. I'm Timothy Saylor, and I'm here with Reverend Janglebones and Kurt Huggins. And we're going to be your hosts this evening as we sound out the subconscious, navigate the nocturnal, and explore the farthest reaches of our experience. Reverend Janglebones is coming at you from a church rectory near a sacrificial bog in rural Denmark. Kurt Huggins coming to you from the ejector seat of the city that fell asleep. And me, Tim Saylor, coming at you from the back of an 86 Dodge Ram van in the great forest, deep in the heart of the Kali Yuga. This is radio for the hauntological turn. How are we even going to do this? Like, shit, maybe I should stop.
Just let it go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what.
Like, how are we gonna put it together? Like, how? You know what I mean?
Well, you put your intro in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Well, we just
Do that?
you just send me the raw file, and then I just do what I normally do with my raw file, and you do what you normally do with your raw file.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be the same audio track, but yours has your intro, and mine maybe has some music from something we bring up during the show or something.
Yeah.
Like I like to do. Maybe not. Maybe I just lazy and I just fucking post it.
Yeah.
And then I do an impersonation of you doing the Nightbird intro.
Dude, that'd be cool. I was thinking about that. I wanted us all to give where we're coming at you from. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fun.
You know?
What would I even say?
What would you say?
Because I'm trying to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Coming to you from a burning building in Brooklyn, New York.
Coming to you from, it's a dystopia of some kind, right?
coming to you from the ever collapsing city.
Yeah. And I'm coming to you from a city that's always under construction. But I guess most cities are.
Atlanta's been really bad about that, though.
Dude, it's real bad.
Every time I come back there's like a whole other section of buildings that have just been dropped out of the sky.
Yeah, it's never done. I wonder if that's its dreaming, man.
Maybe finally. I mean, I feel like it was asleep for a really long time. And
I really wonder about the name of it.
Atlanta.
Yeah. It very sounds a lot like Atlantis. And then it kind of sounds like Azatlan too.
I'm trying to remember what
for shit like that.
who it's named after.
I don't know. It's named
because I think it's like a person, but I can't remember. But it's like, I love its old name, Terminus.
Yeah,
Terminus is a badass name.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's.
I thought it was just named after the ocean or something, man.
I think it's named after like an actual person, maybe.
I want to meet that person.
I don't know. I'm having to look it up because I can't let it. Oh damn! I'm never gonna. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah.
It's funny because now we don't have anything to say.
Yeah, we recorded and we fucked everything up.
We just talked for an hour.
Endlessly gibbering. And now it's like, oh no, now the microscope is turned towards us. Stop wiggling, paramecium. Pretend we're dead. Now, how are you doing down there? Like, are you still like kind of living like in the same spot? Like, are you looking to travel again? What is your plan? Do you have one?
I don't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be able to pivot at a moment's notice, right? But I'm also kind of dragging ass on doing some repairs. And eventually I'd like to travel. I really want to make it I want to take the show on the road at some point, but then also like I have this thing about doing geographicals, we call them. So like I've always done a lot of running away
Mm.
at the time. If it gets tough, I get up and run.
No.
And this is real personal, but whatever. It's not a big deal. And I think actually right now what I'm supposed to do is be here. Um, I'm getting to spend a lot of time with my grandma,
Mm.
who's like 90, and I'm getting to spend a lot of time with my nephew, who's like almost 2. And yeah, I mean, like my people are here. I have like a network here somewhat. Um, and yeah, so I'm kind of like working through that, if that makes any sense. Like, because I'll get this feeling like a wild hair, and I just want to go.
Mm.
But it's always brought me back here after when I do that. It's like always with the wrong motivation, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's really funny because it like I've been trying to leave, and for some reason I can't fucking leave,
Yeah.
no matter how hard I try. Because like I'm so close to moving, and then I will like we were talking before hitting record that like I where I'm supposed to move at the beginning of November, and now that's got delayed for 3 weeks. So I'm still I'm still here. Like, and it's for whatever reason the exit from Brooklyn and New York City is just taking a long time. And at this point, I think that's just how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, um, I am I am going to move on from here, but it's like a really tight knot that's only slowly unraveling. And it's funny because I think it's been unraveling since like for 2 years. And um it's yeah, it's finally about to happen. But if it gets delayed again, I don't know. I don't know what that'll mean.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
I really don't think I'm supposed to be here anymore. Um, yeah.
What I'd like is for this to be like a base from which I can go on excursions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if those excursions are like to the other side of the Turtle Island. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I don't. Yeah,
That's really I kind of feel that too, Tim. Like the um time to not run away kind of feeling. Because I mean, I guess for kind of different reasons. Like I feel like my whole life has been just intense struggle and kind of came, just enough to get by.
Hmm.
And I feel like it was the same for my wife. And like where we're at now, we love where we live. Like I'm going to language classes and like loving it and digging in and getting to be like getting to the point where I can communicate with local people better. And for anybody who doesn't know, I'm in Denmark, and like being close to where the shit looks like some of the shit is hitting the fan in a big way or trying to. Um, it's been there's been that feeling of like, do we just move to Thailand or Mexico or something like that? And I really considered it, but it kind of comes down to like we spent 2 years fighting to be able to stay here together legally and to call this
Mm.
home. And now this place has become home. We've been decorating this house together. This property is like a beautiful rectory because my wife's a priest. and like it's been hallowed ground for 800 years, and there's a back way through the village to walk through just some nature to get to the actual church. And like it's perfect. It's like we were put in this position. My wife manages the like more public face of the community spiritual aspect, and I'm the one like leaving offerings to land spirits and elevating graveyards and doing the invisible, the stuff nobody sees. And like I know we were put here for a reason, and it's fucking terrifying to think that we might be trying to heat like a fucking 5-bedroom house with a tiny little fireplace this winter at some point or the next. But like, what else do you do? Like, it's the life you've been given. It's the life that the spirits that we have that have our back have moved heaven and earth to put us here. So it's like even if we die here, this is our place. Like, this is the place that was set up for us to do whatever work it is we're here to do. And
yeah,
like it just seems silly to deny that for like, I don't know, the possibility of dying earlier than later.
Have both of you always lived in cities, just out of curiosity?
what do you classify as a city?
Anything over, say, 100,000 people?
No.
No, I've lived in a few different. I mean, Sarasota was kind of a tourist town, Florida, Gulf Coast, and then like a smaller town after that, and lived in the country in Ohio, lived in New Orleans. Yeah, kind of a little bit all over.
Because where I'm about to move is probably the smallest place I've ever lived.
That's gonna be good for you, I think.
Yeah.
It'll take some getting used to, but like slowing the pace is nice.
Yeah, actually, that's right. How big was Milledgeville?
When I don't know how big it is now. I think it's growing, but when I was there, like maybe like 7,000 people. Is that?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let me make sure that could be totally wrong, dude. That could have just been
that's like really small. Because it's crazy because like Burlington's small, but it's still like 39,000 people.
It's less than Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the population right now is 20,000. It's 18.5. Okay. So when I was there, it was probably like a little bit less than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I loved that. I had a little trailer in the woods, man. It was cool.
I remember us turning it around. It seemed like kind of a cool. Yeah, it's going to be so new for me because like I don't. Although New York's funny because you end up kind of living in a small town within this giant city, but the giant city's still always there, but like you're in your neighborhood and that's all localized. So this is I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what this is going to be like.
The pace is
going to be so different. There?
No, I'm from Atlanta.
You're from here. Yeah. I knew that.
It's like I feel like living in Brooklyn like that, the way you describe it, it just feels in my head, it's like this is Final Fantasy VII.
Yes. The first third of the game.
Yeah.
It's been a year since I played that, but yeah, I kind of remember. You know what's funny? That game, like after they left the city, I was like, this is not as interesting as.
Yeah, I'd stopped playing it.
Yeah, I was like,
another random encounter, great.
Yeah, that's like, it's turned into 5. They knocked us out of the park in 3. I don't need another one of these, like, or 6, whatever one people think.
That one's really good. I like 7.
That's my favorite one. That one's my absolute favorite. Like. Everybody loves 7. I remember that was I don't
I mean, it's a good documentary.
Yeah, it's really like, it's it's a good time. It's
smart city.
That had
pulling the life force out of the earth using it to power profane technologies.
Yeah, where's our Sephiroth though? Where's our evil angel?
Dude, man,
with a 9-foot long sword?
I love that they just like were like, I don't know, choose some random English esoteric word to name them.
Yeah.
How about Sephiroth?
Dude, but those games are how I came to know about Odin.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I
yeah.
mean, like, I don't know. We probably read, like, I was reading, like, library books about myths forever, too. So, like, it could have been concurrent. But yeah, that was, like, really, like,
Huh.
one of the first times I saw him was as a summon in Final Fantasy. Isn't that
Oh man,
crazy?
those goddamn those summons. They were so cool the first three times.
But then they got
It's-
so annoying to watch, man,
yeah,
because
it's
you're
just like,
just,
oh god damn it.
damn, Knights of the Round is, like, 3 minutes long or something.
It's- uh, there's no skipping. You just
I'm a
yeah.
Chrono Trigger guy.
Oh, I never played it.
Oh my
I
God.
Me
heard
I could
neither.
do an
amazing things
episode
about it.
on that, man.
Oh yeah, I've never played it
Dude.
either.
What? Oh my God.
Well, that's the thing is if anything with random
I'm just
encounters, I don't
jealous of you.
last.
They're not really random encounters in Chrono Trigger. You can avoid them because the monsters are in. It doesn't change screens.
Oh,
So
well,
Ah,
it'll
I could
go to
play
a
that.
turn-based battle, but the monsters are on the map that you can see them.
I could do that
Dude,
because I
it's
could avoid them
so
if I didn't
good.
want
It's
the
time
XP.
travel, right? So like the world map is there's a world map in every period of time from like prehistoric ages to like this weird golden age where there's flying islands to dark ages, modern as in you know modern for the game, and then the like a post-apocalyptic future.
mm,
And so you can like there are certain missions where you have to like go back, put something here in this time, and then time travel to the future and pick it back up. It's so good.
okay.
And I think
There's
it's actually like one of those ones that's true.
okay. There's is there some like dramatic twist in the story or something? Because
Yeah.
I know. Okay, yeah. Because I know that that's another big part of it is that people are like the actual narrative in it is really
The
good.
narrative is great. It's just really tight, man. Final Fantasies are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that.
But that was one thing. Well, again, like the pinnacle to me, and these are the Super Nintendo versions, like is Final Fantasy 2 and 3.
Yeah, they're
I
good.
loved 2, and
Me
like I
too.
think 3 is one of the best ones that they ever made.
Three is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude. Like,
I don't think I played three either.
Oh,
oh man, you
fucking
get to
3 is
see
a masterpiece.
like you.
Yeah.
I mean, can I spoil stuff or what? What do we? I don't know. You haven't
Yeah,
played it,
fuck
right?
it. I mean,
I don't believe things get spoiled for
yeah,
Okay,
fuck
me.
it.
like
I'll just
you get
forget.
to watch the bad guy win,
Yeah.
and then you have to like live in that world.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's
That's
amazing.
fun. That's really fun. Oh man,
And
yeah,
it's
that's great. That's
It's
like
good.
the badassery of Oblivion. The best part about Oblivion was that uh you're just this side character. Like it just threw you for a
Yes.
loop because you're like it's like you do everything and still like you're not the fucking hero. You're just some side dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like nothing would have worked out without you, but that's true for anyone that was involved,
You talking
and
about
it kind of drills that home.
the hero of Kvatch?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, how it's like I
Martin.
forget. I can't. It's been so long.
Martin Septim.
Yeah, like that
Sean
dude's
Bean.
the real dude the steps in and like the whole thing was just for that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good Sean Bean death.
yeah, no, it's like I don't know. I like Final Fantasy 7 doesn't stick in my head at all. Like I know it's like everyone's favorite. It's also weird like the trajectory of like JRPGs because when I was a because I was playing them in the Nintendo era, like Dragon Warrior and that shit, and they were not cool at all.
Yeah.
Like everyone played like Tepco Super Bowl or whatever the fuck that game was. Timco Super Bowl. Do you know what I'm talking?
Tecmo.
Tecmo
Tempo.
Super. Yeah, like it was always sports games and other random bullshit. Like no
I
one.
didn't play any of those.
Yeah, me neither.
It's funny. I was always like for the earlier systems, I was always a platformer guy. Like there were a bunch of weird, obscure platformers that I got really
You
into.
like Castlevania?
Yeah, well, I mean, I love Castlevania, but like, what was it? There was one that was like on a Adventure Island, Super Adventure Island.
Hmm.
Those were fucking dumb and great, and like they were just well-made platformers that I really love. One of my favorite games of all time was on regular Nintendo. You can't even hardly find a trace of the existence of this game anymore, but it was called Zexus, Xexus. It was either Konami or Capcom, but like it's very difficult to even find an internet post that references this game. But it was really fucking great. It was like a Castlevania like style where you get upgrades and things, and you're this little guy. But you also had to like find these portals and travel to other worlds, and you would come back, and then the world would be different when you do things. In
Nice.
the other one, there were these
Hmm.
world state changes and stuff, and it was on NES. And the game blew my mind, and I rented it and kept it for like 2 months, and just paid a bunch of late
Oh
fees,
yeah.
and then I never fucking saw it again. Like, but but yeah, something about the platform is like all my cousins played all the fucking sports games, and it just bored me to tears. Like I didn't care at all. And then I think I was too ADD to get into the ones like that were closer to tabletop gaming, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those were things I got into later, I think, once I discovered weed.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
well, the Nintendo was fascinating because there was a bunch of I owned. There's that black book that's like the Nintendo Entertainment System that it's like really early on, and it was like basically it's more or less a catalog of every game that they had at the time,
Yeah.
and that then turned into like a Nintendo Power subscription. Like I think it came with it or something. I don't remember, but it's so funny how many like original Nintendo games are basically only exist in my imagination, right? Because like I would pore over those things and look at all the screenshots and like imagine what it would be like to experience playing it. But I never got to play most of them, the majority of those games, because it's also like what was it like $40 a game back then or something like, which was
Okay,
yeah.
but like, what about even the ones that you did play, right? Like when you get engrossed in something, in the story of it, or even if it's just the basic archetypal thing, like with Zelda, right? There's these fucking blocks, but the idea of being like, I'm a newbie and I get this sword, and like you get sucked into that, and you start to like project onto the fact that there's not a lot going on graphically or visually stimulating wise.
It's kind of like reading a
And
book. You have your own
yes,
world of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I in a way I think it's actually, this is probably not the right word to use, but I think it's like actually healthier in a way. Like it's
Yeah. Well,
because
those games don't fuck with my imaginal as much.
yeah, but it's because you have to fill it in. You're participating in it. There's like
Yeah.
yeah, and I think
yeah, the
uh,
games that give it all to you.
yeah, and it's sort of why like although there are times when that's really cool too. That has its own place, but it's not.
It's
Um,
it's more of like an art form than an engagement. It's more like you're appreciating this thing someone crafted for you than
yeah,
you're engaging and building half of it yourself. Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, it's more like reading.
Which is why I think since we're reaching a point with games now where um verisimilitude, we're at such a high level of that, like the quality of the graphics and everything, it's like you can do anything. So now all the old styles are coming back, and like you can actually you can see the purpose of them more and how they're better in a lot of ways. um like uh yeah, I think like for instance like the Super Nintendo, what is it, Link to the Past, the third Zelda game, that's probably the best one, even though everybody loves Breath of the Wild. And I played Breath of the Wild and it's great, but I still think that third Zelda game is probably still the best Zelda game.
It's
Yeah,
really
It's
good.
probably the most immersive in many ways.
I think Breath of the Wild was a like perfect illustration of how total freedom is boring. Like
Mm.
Like my favorite thing about Elden Ring is that it had these limitations where it's just like you can see that place over there, but um but you're just absolutely like cock blocked from it right now. There's no explanation. Like you just can't get there because we don't want you to, and we don't care about that. To me, something about making it too realistic. It's just like, yeah, well, life's a chore. I came to play a game. So
Hmm.
when I'm like changing clothes every 10 minutes to climb a wall, I I'm like, this is fucking dumb. I'm gonna go do the dishes. That's just as much of a challenge and just as engaging. At some point, there's this flip for me, and I just like I got like two of the four bigger bosses beat in that Zelda, and and just quit. Like I just haven't played it since. I got it 1 year ago. I played it for 3 months, off and on. Um, but like Elden Ring, I haven't beat, and I will fucking go back and beat it. Like I love that game, and I'll go back and play it again because they don't care. Like they don't give a fuck that it like there's these big beacons of like you have to save here, and it looks like a game, but like it's still like super successable. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I
It's funny because the aesthetics of Elden, I haven't played it, but I've watched videos of it and like the crazy boss fights, and they're like the creature design on those games are insane. Like
it's
the like
wonderful.
yeah, it's like the complete lunacy that and the giant hats, always the giant hats. Um, I think that game I would probably jive with it more too because the aesthetic is just sort of more my thing. Yeah, this like weird corrupted like dark fantasy world. I sort of just enjoy that more than the cartoonish like it's still fun. It's pleasurable, but it's just not the same thing. I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, to me, exactly. I think you nailed it because being free in a world that's like fake
Hmm.
is stupid. It's like give me limits if you're gonna make the world look fake, because then it becomes like a yeah. It's like thinking of like classics like Mario or Crash Bandicoot or like Sonic. It's like they're not fucking free range games because they're cartoony, and what makes them fun is the fact that they only work in certain ways, and you get really good at working in those ways. But it's like you can do anything, but it still looks fake, and it's like, why don't I just go outside and build something? I always kind of felt that way about Minecraft too. It's just like the best that I can do is like Legos. Like the best that I'll
Yeah.
ever do is Legos. At least with Elden Ring, it's like it's fake, it's a game, but being able to run around and have like the trees blow and have it feel real, and then there's like this twisted creature with five mouths like talking to you about how things used to be good, um, the glory
now,
days and all.
now everything is Lovecraft. You just
Yes.
Lovecrafted the shit out of everything. God damn it.
I mean, there's something about that that's like much more charming, I think.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to lie to me about being inside a story, especially if everything's cartoony. I think with the Elder Scrolls games, it really kind of worked being having that free range shit because there was just so much to do. Like you can engage with anyone and take the story so many different directions. So they made it like dynamic and like support what the overall contention was
It's
with
like a
it.
story generator. Like, have you ever played Crusader Kings at all? Crusader Kings
Mm-mm.
2?
No, what's that
Oh
about?
man, this game I had to like watch like multiple YouTube videos to even figure out how to play it. It's great. It's like a feudalism sim where like most of the game is played on menus and stuff like and then there's a map. So but the whole goal is to like you play as your heir. So whoever you choose to marry, like you're marrying to form alliances, you'll have children, and like your firstborn who stands to inherit will have like shitty stats. And but then like your secondborn is a total badass, and you're like, damn, I don't want my firstborn to inherit. Well, I'm just gonna send him to the priesthood, disinherit him, or you can like have him killed. It's just like a feudalism sandbox where you can be
Like
like,
don't train him and have him lead an army.
yes, exactly, right, right. Um, and yeah, it's and then like
That
random
sounds
events will
fun.
happen. Like you can basically like you'll have the greatest character going, and your like estranged brother who is a pretender to your throne will challenge you to a duel from your dungeon and kill your ass. And it's hard, you know, and like it's really good. But it's like you like a whole. I remember playthroughs I have of that where a whole story was created. It was a
Yeah.
like it was a story that was unique.
Well, it's funny because that sounds similar. I've never played it, but it sounds similar to this game, Dwarf Fortress. Do you know about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Where which is this? It's like this incredibly like complicated. Like it's the same thing. Like you almost need to like you need like a 4 hour seminar to understand how to play it or whatever. But and it's this really weird strip like bizarre like stats and a managing, but the it engenders this capacity to it just creates these insanely complicated stories, and people will have these nutso things they experience in that in the game just because it has like all these variables that'll play, and it's so fucking unique. um it's funny. It
It's
also kind of reminds me of God, what is that goddamn game? Eve Online, the one that is basically
Yeah,
like
I've read more about it than I played it.
yeah, because I think playing it's like accounting. You're basically playing
Yeah.
Excel.
Right.
That's like the game. But then same thing. These insane like alliances and wars and battles will happen. But it's so like the way to interface with it is so technical and like
Mhm.
complicated. Yeah.
Well, and the
See,
players
that's
are just like pawns in it, right? Like the
Yeah.
story itself is bigger than any of the players, and they just kind of like were manning like a suicide spaceship or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
um one of my all-time favorite games, which I only discovered last year, is called Kenshi. And I know I've mentioned it to you guys before, but like, so on the other end of the storytelling spectrum, there's this idea of fuck plot altogether, just nothing, and that's what Kenshi does, where it's it's decent graphics, but you don't get to see them that often because you're usually scrolled out to where everything looks like ants. But you can start, and they're like shit. The mod community is incredible. Like playing Kenshi without mods is kind of silly, but but there's some really good ones, and you can start with all these different sort of start scenarios, and the world is populated with like it's set on a different planet, kind of a post-apocalyptic or a pre-functioning civilization, but I think it's after some kind of cataclysm on some populated world. But it's very much like samurai swords and handmade weapons and things like that. Uh, and at first, like pretty much anybody looks at you and you get knocked out, and like you might start in any number of places, and there are all these different territories and factions. There are slavers, and there's the Holy Nation, and there are the I forget what they're called, but they're like they're another species altogether. Like the Holy Nation's racist, and they hate everyone, and that isn't like white, and they don't like women either. Um, it's um, it's really fun because you kind of start off, you just you're so weak that you can't do anything, but when you get knocked out, you don't really die. You just get back up after you're knocked out for a while, and you have some more experience points. So you have to do that for a really long time before you can even like win one fight. And then, and then from there you have to start. It's like an incredibly slow grind,
That
but it's
reminds me
so
of
much.
Mountain Blade Warband.
I don't know that.
It sounds similar.
But it's like it's squad based too, so you can eventually recruit people.
This is like that too,
And
where you recruit
yeah,
people and you get dragged around as a slave sometimes. Like,
yeah, you can get knocked out and taken as a slave, and then you have to work until your stats build up enough to break free. But there's the fact that there's no plot means that it's like you end up projecting the entire thing, like because you can do like a sort of base building thing within it too. But like I started off as this girl there was like a start mode where you have a sword that's way better than you should have, and so I did that. So she has nothing but this sword, and she can't even use it because she's super weak. And like created this backstory in my head
Yeah.
that like someone tried to rape her and she killed him, and it was some magistrate, and she had to run away from the Holy Nation, and like has his sword, so she's easily identifiable. And you start with a huge bounty with this scenario. Um, but like reading about other people's experiences is so fun because you can like read their personalities into the way that they played the game. Because they, like one dude said, he's like, I started off and I'm building up and I have a couple recruits and I'm starting a little base and I got a mine, and then I get raided and one of my guys gets taken, and so then I recruited 20 more people over the course of the next 3 weeks of playing the game and built all of them up, and eventually went and destroyed the entire slavers nation and took back my fucking person. Like it was like this months long campaign that they just had this vendetta, and they actually got their character back. Like after all that time, they were still just over there gaining experience because the game keeps going on without you. Like, it's just so fucking fun. But I think that's really cool that there's. So this is a game with a lot more texture and a lot more graphics and things than like Zelda, but you still get the projection. Like if you leave room, even though there's a lot more visual stuff is explained for you. Um, yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting how story is crafted through this medium to either either like really focus in and try to like lead you into a specific experience, or what the intent is, like if that's to leave it open and let you do it then. And I think it's interesting that we categorize games based on like the internal setup, the way a designer would think, rather than that creative element. Like we don't say, is it a game with guided story or is it more open story? Like that's not like a primary category. I think that's interesting. It's kind of like when you go to look for movies on like a streaming service, and you're in the mood for a certain kind of vibe, and you go in like the sci-fi section, and it's like, okay, you got like movies like Blade Runner and Drive, and um like certain movies have like this stylistic feel, and you're like, I want something like this, but it doesn't actually show up in the genre section. It's like I think we might be categorizing things in a weird way or something.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
I'm
You
sorry,
want
that was a
you
really
want
long
the
rant.
you want the mood over the genre.
Yeah, what if we
Yeah.
start a pirate streaming service that just funnels all the other streaming services into one, and they're like categorized by vibe?
By mood, yeah.
You just pick a color. That's
What
it.
do you think okay, so take the worst of everything that we're talking about. So what so the game that both is hyper realistic or maybe has great graphics or whatever you want to call that, and then is also like you're on a rail going through it and you're just being brought through it. Because there are games like that. What do you think? Like, what is the effect of that on a person? I kind of have a point here, but like, we can go off from that if we need to. But you know what I mean? Like, I've been thinking a lot about this lately.
Yeah, we had a lot of interesting stuff about that kind of thing come up in that episode with Tim Woody, like about trails and agency, and like because that game Stanley Parable is very fucking intense about that stuff. It's like, are you actually choosing the path, or is this just a like a cattle shoot?
Yeah, I listened to y'all
Um,
talk about it, and I was like, do I want to play that game after hearing that, or do I? Like, it sounds like an experience. But I was like, damn,
it's
do I
great.
even
I
actually have that experience?
I think it's actually really great.
I'm sure it's great, but like
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm ready for it. Like,
It's funny what you're talking about made me think about oh, Dear Esther, I think is what it's called.
yeah, where it's just straight up like you're almost watching a movie.
Yeah, except it's like you're walking through, it's a space like that you're walking through, and there's a narrative that sort of emerges out of it, but it's not um you don't really make choices. Actually, there's not really any choices to be made. You're just going through it, and you're sort of wandering around and experiencing. I think they call it a walking simulator.
Yeah.
um and it is intriguing. It's would I want it's also brief. Like there's not a lot to it. It's not like I would I want to do more than what is it? And I'm also, it makes me think of things like haunted houses, which is also very like contained. I mean, sometimes I think they give you illusions of choices, but that's not, you don't really have them. You're just gonna go, you're wondering, you're on the path, and that's it. Um, yeah, I don't know. Is your point more like, is that good or bad, or is it?
I don't know about good or bad, and I might have even phrased it poorly by saying take all the worst parts. I'm more thinking of the ones that walk you through a war and just make you shoot everyone.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think those are like serious. Like I think that's like some Ender's Game shit, man.
Mhm.
I think that in general about plot devices and narrative kind of archetypes, like not the characters, but the way that the story is told. And when you start getting like introduction, conflict, climax, resolution, wrap up, like just over and over again, you start to expect that out of your own experiences in life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that plays into what you're saying, because it plays into any time you're fed the same patterns of the way that story unfolds. Like the only way that story actually unfolds is the way that it unfolds in life. And then everything else is something trying its best to kind of explain that, or explain something that's like a deeper archetype. Maybe that's the thing that causes the things in life. So like fuck, I don't know if that made sense. But
Yeah, so I like a game where you can choose to solve problems in a way that isn't like okay, if the only way to solve a problem in the game is to bash, then I'm just not quite interested. Like take a Fallout for example, where you can like max your speech and never have to even like fire a shot. You can beat the game by like hacking a computer and getting through, or like getting a robot to do this shit, or whatever,
and
But
through
like,
stealth, yeah, like
yeah, and that to me, I don't even know if I'm phrasing this right, but like, as opposed to conditioning me, I mean, movies do this too, where like it's conditioning me to solve problems in only one way, and that is like, dude, I used to kind of be like, no, video games don't make people violent, but dude, I don't really think that I think that anymore. Like, I think
Mhm.
that they very much can.
it depends on the
Controversial take,
person.
maybe. Depends on the person, depends on the game, right? But like,
Yeah, I think any like like anybody who's not self-aware, who doesn't have connection to reality, feeding things into their mind in a mindless way, that's gonna end badly eventually. It's because they're not conscientious of the fact that it's purely entertainment. If you don't have that actual, like there's no one way or another about it. Like
but our society is,
I hate that people land one way or another. They're like, it's
yeah,
either this or it's that, and it's like it's fucking people are different.
Yeah, and there's
There are
loads
different
of
kinds of
nuance.
people. Yeah.
There's loads of nuance, but our society is kind of like set up at this moment to to feed those experiences to people in a very narrow way, and so it just makes me think, man. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Do
it
these
definitely
things
makes us all
create super
self-centered.
soldiers? Yeah,
Well, it makes us all self-centered for sure. I think oh man, yeah, the idea that you're the main character and everyone else is a supporting role, and in the
NPCs.
end,
That's a whole theory that some people have, is that some people aren't even real. Do you
yeah,
hear people talk about this?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I see people in on Twitter like that. In the Magic community that are like referring to certain people as NPC, and it's like, man, I know what it's like to be covered up by the blanket of just uh whatever the garbage is of programming and fear and trauma and just being like completely shut out from any connection and just afraid all the time. Like it wasn't that long ago that I was a fucking drug addict, so it's like I'm not gonna be the cold bastard that calls those people NPCs. Um,
Yeah,
because like there was a time where I looked like I had no life left in my eyes, right?
dude, I was on a predetermined track, right?
But yeah, it's like there's no one has the right to say if someone else can turn their shit around.
Right.
Oh fuck. I
What are
got a
you
cat
thinking about,
calling.
Kurt? I see your wheels turning.
I'll be back. I'm gonna get a cup of coffee and
No,
let the cat out.
it
Do it.
reminds me of do you know that guy Michael Malice?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had this really it was weird because I didn't expect this, but it seems like he's starting to get into like spirituality and psychedelics at least like at a cursory level. And he said this weird thing where he's like, I don't think everyone has a soul. And I'm like,
Ooh,
huh. Like
damn.
that's a weird place. And it's kind of like
It's
the
like a
that's
slippery
like
slope.
yeah, that's like the idea that you're talking about like dialed up
Yeah.
to like past 11, like just like that they don't really exist. I don't know. It's so weird because like uh I'm definitely a fucking hero in my story, god damn it. No.
Yeah.
Um
That's cool.
um I don't know. It's and it like what you're I'm also resistant to that idea of like, oh well, these violent games cause violence. And then and also like if they're training people to be soldiers, they wouldn't be very good soldiers.
Yeah. But like drones.
They would be cannon fodder.
So I have a friend that was in the Marines, and what he did was he manned drones.
Uh
And
that's a different
it was
thing.
like a
Okay.
fucking video game, he said. And it
Yeah.
was like has really bad PTSD. Um, and I kind of think it's probably, I can't say for sure because I haven't had any of that experience, but like I feel like, they say like, oh, well, at least war is fought humanely now. Like you don't even have to look your enemy in the eye. Like I think it's worse.
Yeah, it is. Like that's the trajectory of war is to get as far away from the person you're killing as possible. That's been its whole trajectory from like knife to sword to spear to arrows to like missiles like and now yeah, it's gotten to this point where like you don't even see them half the time or if you do they're like some weird night vision
Yeah, a night vision thing on a
smear.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing humane about that. That's like dehumanizing, and I think I haven't looked into it too much, but the little bit I heard is that that program really fucks people up bad.
Yeah.
Like it, uh, because there is just something really, it's War is grotesque, but that's grotesque at a whole other level.
You know that we don't even know how medieval battles were fought? We don't have any idea how that worked. All we have is speculation. All we have is interpretation. We have no idea how medieval battles were fought. We just don't know. That everything you hear is someone's
interpretation,
theory, or interpretation, or whatever. Like, there's no conclusive. There's just nothing conclusive. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe, like, the dude, what's his name, that does hardcore history?
Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin has a thing where he talks about, like, you would resist to your very last, like, a bayonet charge. Like, no one wants to do that. And, like, so I imagine it's probably the same way with, like, hand-to-hand combat, right? Like, I think it's like a lot of pushing. And so what I'm getting at is, like, that may be an actually more humane way to fight than the way we fight now.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want people to cut each other's heads off or anything, but, like,
there's a reality to being in the same distance as another human being.
Like, it should have to be intimate.
Yeah. It deserves the respect of intimacy.
Yeah.
Because there is a weird thing, like, if you watch, like, prize fights, often people, they go in a ring and they go to war each other, they end up hugging at the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, medieval or sword to sword combat would even have remotely the same, but I can imagine, like, you know, maybe, like, oh, I don't have to hack this person to pieces. I've got, like, I've knocked them down, and, like, they're surrendering, and, like, as long as they stay down, then it's okay. I don't have to fucking kill this person necessarily.
And that's unless they're Scorpio.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And then they're like, you fucking hit me in round 2. I'm fucking ending this.
There's always outliers. Well, it's also, especially if you're talking about, like, medieval warfare, for instance. So there's a class element to it too, where, like, you wouldn't hack up the other guy on the horse because he's a lord or a knight of some kind and he fetches a ransom. But you will slash the fuck out of the footmen because it's like, whatever, dude. But, like, the elites on each side, they take hostages, but they try to kill your peasants, because killing the peasants means that you don't have as many people to work your land. It's the same thing that's happening now. The elites don't kill each other, they take hostages, but the peons like us, they don't care so much about. I don't know how I turned it into that, but I did.
Well, no, it's weird because I think it's like, what's there's that term, noblesse oblige. I forget how you say it, which is the obligation of the nobility is what it translates to, basically. And it's this concept that you have wealth, and because you have the wealth, you have this obligation to take care of those that are beneath you. And that doesn't exist anymore, really, because even a lot of the idea of charity is just another scam to fucking wash money, right? That's another
enter merit.
Yeah. Which, like, as bad as probably that was, at least there was maybe some possibility, like, you might know your peasants, you might care about them to a certain degree, maybe, who knows. Like, it's so funny that was, like, the majority of human life, and, like, I can't, it's so fucking alien to me. Like, I have no idea what it would be like to exist in that state.
Well, I think you just need, like, a judge and a shaman.
Wait 10 years.
I was about to say, give it 3 months, dog.
You just need, like, each small community needs, and they need to all be small communities, has a judge and a shaman.
And a sheriff. Maybe the sheriff's the same as the judge.
That is the judge.
Like a judge of Israel type judge?
There's no middleman. Like it's someone that everyone agrees their moral character is sound enough that they can be trusted to make those calls in the moment. Like they're kind-hearted and they mostly want they just want everyone to be okay.
This is
But
how the
if necessary, they'll put someone down, and they don't
Mhm.
have to answer to anyone for that except the people who agree that they should be in that position.
Mm. Which
that's
one are
how
you?
the Ashlanders of Morrowind live, but that's for another show.
Yes, it is. Oh, that's gonna be so good. Um,
Which one do you think you are?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, the shaman more than the yeah. I don't give a. I don't want to be the one deciding those things. Like I'd much rather be negotiating the spirit to human world than the human to human world.
What about you, Tom?
Oh man,
Humans are exhausting.
I used to. Yeah, they are. I used to always choose a warrior, um, as my class, right?
Mm.
Um, so I think that might say something, but I don't know. Like,
Oh yeah, this is good. Let's take it to video games, and everyone has to
y-
answer like what your class would be. That's even better.
yeah,
Let's broaden it. Let's broaden
yeah, but
it.
that's changed some, right?
Mm.
And now I usually choose a magic user of some kind. Um,
Yeah, it can be from any game.
Yeah, my life goal as a kid was to be Gandalf. I don't know if it
You're
yeah,
just straight wizard.
yeah. Well,
You're
it's
you're
yeah, it's if I'm honest about like that question I posed to you guys about whether being the shaman or the judge, I think I would end up being the judge. I don't think
I
I'd
would
want to be it, but I think I'd end up being it.
that's why you would be it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And actually I would agree with that. Like if we were in a community together, I think that would be good. And to be honest, I would be happy with Tim being some kind of protector if he wanted to be.
My thing
Like
is like,
I'd trust you to make those kinds of decisions,
why
and I'd
can't you?
trust Kurt to determine someone's heart. You know.
Yeah,
Why can't you be? What were you going to say, Tim?
why can't you? I like to skirt boundaries. I don't know.
And be both? Yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah,
ideally you'd rotate the
yeah.
um but I don't know. And it's not even a thing like where I it's really weird to like think about this. I just the way other people I've known through my life have reacted to me and the way I've treated certain people, I was like, I think I would end up doing that goddamn job,
Yeah.
whether I'd want to or not.
I think I've done it in a way.
The
I don't
judge,
know. Yeah,
yeah,
because I managed this bar that was like all college kids, and I was like the mature one,
yeah,
but I was like 27. But I always had to like fire people for the owners, and I fucking
yeah.
hated it. But I would do it because they told me to.
It's weird. They're both liminal positions. Like you're both of you, both of those positions are outside of the society.
Yeah, I mean to be any kind of, I think you kind of have to be making those calls.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you?
I think so.
I just
I
want to
th
live in a cave, dude.
Lurcy life for the win.
Yes, man. Yes,
Same.
well,
dude.
well,
Society is
but
tedious.
that's the problem is that like yes, I agree. I think I'd really, but they'd come knocking at your door.
They
They'd be like,
do, man. And then you can
"Hey,
like
this guy, can you
fucking
tell
take
us
some
what
of
he's?"
these nuts and put them in this brew, and then leave me alone. Like,
You gotta find a cave with a strong enough and mean enough spirit, and then befriend it, and then no
yeah.
one comes to your cave.
Like the
But so
idea of living
go
like
ahead.
the Thai thing about like just living in a graveyard sounds so good to me, dude.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I same. That's what. Okay, so if we had to pick character class, like I would revise that to.
Cemetery hobo.
Necromancer. Necromancer.
Well, I would be across. I would say I would if I could choose. Like I, I'm aspiring to this, right? I don't think that I am this or anything, but I would aspire to necromancer slash druid.
Yeah.
So it's like like sewn into the land, both the above and below ground. That's man, that sounds good to me. Like that feels like falling asleep in moss with mushrooms growing out of your face or something. Like
Hell yeah. Like the fountain. Dude, I think like a battle mage, man. Like what about like
yeah,
okay,
that makes sense for you to me.
yeah.
I like that.
Like a tank that can cast a little bit.
Mm.
That's
Well, it's
usually
like
what I
you're
end up
like
playing.
you're
Go ahead.
commanding your troops based on divination and visions and like casting buffer spells on your troops.
Yeah, casting
Mm.
buffs is great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that I like that. That's cool. And I do think Kirk could be like the high wizard. I live down near the bog in a shack and
He lives on the mountain.
sacrifice chickens and goats to the bog lady. And Kurt lives up on the mountain. Like, well, and there's a cave nearby the bog, or otherwise I wouldn't be able to stand it. But
Yeah.
but Kurt lives up in the mountains in a cave. And people like anytime the people have like an issue, they'll make a pilgrimage up there and they have to call him out of the cave and ask for his judgment on something. And like he's got all these like beakers and different colors of flame going in the background.
He's always contemplating an orb.
It always ends with me telling him to throw somebody in the bog. I'm just like, fuck you. Fuck you. They don't bother you. I'm gonna make them bother you.
And like Tim's there getting extra blessings on his like war shit. Yeah, this is how it goes down.
Damn, we need a rogue then.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so that's the thing. I went through a phase in my life where I was always the rogue. And as soon as I stopped being a drug addict, I went back to being the mage.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's just so funny. It's like it always mirrors for
Yeah.
me, like what character class I'm picking. Yeah, it's really weird.
I wonder what Gary Gygax was on when he figured all this shit out. Like, because
Dude.
these things are so like perfectly archetypical.
It's perfectly archetypal. Like, dude, the
Yeah.
alignment chart is what's up, I think. Like it's really good.
What are your alignments?
Yeah, that's a tough question, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for me.
Are you chaotic good?
Yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
That's it's funny. That's what I immediately thought of too.
I almost would go chaotic neutral, which is like kind of scary, but like, yeah.
I always like keeping people with different alignments around. Like,
Yeah.
it helps me to like know where mine stand, and also to be a little bit looser with them, and like not take myself so seriously sometimes. Like both like lawful good and chaotic neutral are good alignments to be around if you're a chaotic good, because then you're like you see the stricter end and you see the looser end, and yeah, makes it easier to just kind of be like fuck it, whatever, because that's what my class is all about. My alignment's all about fuck it, whatever, do what you want. Mostly just trust your heart and go. Like, make some merit.
Lawful good sounds exhausting.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Not as exhausting as lawful evil, probably though.
True enough. I think that's like I don't know how to finish that thought.
Well, like I imagine lawful good being like exhausting and kind of a pain in the ass, but also that great holy feeling you get would be just on you all the time. And lawful evil is like getting Buddha tattoos on the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
That's like committing to the profane, and I don't want that. That sounds horrible, to just be there all the time and like commit to sticking to rules and precepts to stay low enough that you can keep doing shitty things.
Yeah, so that's like a Sith, right? Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
like put it in context that I understand, which it's usually just Star Wars.
Fair.
You know? Yeah, it does, dude. It's you have to be so edgy all the time.
It's like Star Wars and Old Testament are like the things that really hit hard for me when I was a
Dude,
kid.
me
So,
too, man.
that kind of thing.
I love the Old Testament. That's why when you said judge, I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
That's my favorite book of the Old Testament. It's just a bunch of cool stories about like wild, like crazy warriors that also like spoke to this desert god, like, you know?
A Jin.
Yeah,
I basically think Yahweh is a Jin.
for real.
I should have brought that up when we talked to Derek.
That's a cool idea, actually.
That is a cool idea.
Um, I gotta take my dog outside, so I'm gonna be stepping away for a minute.
I gotta take a piss.
I gotta do that too, so it's
Uh,
all
uh, did I send you? Oh, never mind. I forgot
what?
we're recording. I'm not going to talk about that now.
Oh, you're good. I didn't realize I could pause recording. I've never used that feature.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
No,
well.
meaning
Yeah.
that's interesting because then you don't have to edit.
Yeah, I wish I did less of that, but I can't help it.
Yeah, I'm against it.
I dig that. I respect that.
It's just annoying.
It's really annoying work. And it might be annoying for the person listening too. I don't know.
Well, I haven't had to do much. There's just been a couple times where I've slipped and said something and been like that. No.
Yeah, sure.
But
And then like this, it's like a meta conversations. I sometimes take those out too, but not always.
yeah, I leave ours in because what I'm hoping will eventually happen is that it'll be kind of like an anthology and record of just like a diary
Yeah.
almost. Kurt and I haven't really talked that much about ourselves. I'm kind of considering maybe starting episodes off when it's just him and me and hit record, but start before the scheduled time. And then he and I catch up a little bit and keep it on there and then welcome the guest and just have it go already.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd
And
be
like,
cool.
but send them a little message first and say like, these are the things you should know, and you know,
Yeah,
um,
that would be cool.
yeah,
It is like a diary though, right? Like, damn, it's a cool way to think about it. Like, it's like, what if this was a video I was sending to my relative who's in space?
yeah.
On the vid screen. Why do they always call it a vid? That's the only word that we don't shorten.
They don't need to say vid screen. All the screens are vid.
Right.
Is there an audio screen that I'm unaware of?
Right. Dude.
What the fuck? It's like I just wanted to remind you that we're definitely in the future right now.
Yeah.
Like fuck you.
In the future, dude, I remember when I was young, this is one of my most prescient moments. I did predict that in the future all words would be shortened.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not all of them aren't, but it's kind of a weird thing because
Yeah.
on the internet they sort of are. Like you've shortened a lot of stuff.
Well, they're almost like I think there are two different ways you can go with almost any acronym these days. There's so many fucking acronyms, and it's
I hate it actually.
yeah. I don't use them. I do my best to avoid them, and if someone uses one, I will play dumb and be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tell me what that means.
Because it's almost like
Say all the words.
yeah, well, it's almost like a sort of I don't know what the word for this is. It's almost kind of like a challenge of what you know. Like, what do you think you're better than me? Is
Yeah. It's
you know what I mean?
got
Like if I
built
don't know your acronym,
acronyms. They have built-in pretension.
yeah.
It's like a snooty sort of, yeah, name
Except
drop sort of thing.
I love LOL. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
LOL. Yeah.
LOL.
oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I did love it. I think at this point I'm doing my best to drop it out because somebody ruined it for me, I think. But just putting it in when you're too cowardly to say the thing you mean to say.
I think that's what I do actually. I think that's
I
exactly
didn't
what
mean
I've
to,
been doing.
I didn't mean to call you out,
No,
but
I think it's like no, it is though. No, you can call me out all you want. I don't care. That's what iron sharpens iron, bruh.
respect.
Um it's like I think it's like it comes from a fear of being too direct or something, or like a fear of being misunderstood. Maybe like I have to like JK that shit because I hope you know that I'm joking, or like. But I also think it's just kind of a symptom of having no inflection.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
my inflection is like fucking 90% of what I'm saying.
yeah, same.
So
Yeah, I there's definitely a component of that too. Like when you're saying something as a joke, but then it's like if it's taken seriously, it's really dark. But
yeah,
you mean it as a joke, so there's a real tension to like "Ugh, I need to let people know that I mean this as a joke, but then it's not as funny
well, think about it. Like
if you undercut it. Like
it's not as funny if you undercut it for sure. It makes me wonder. Like, okay, when you had to wait 3 months to hear the other person's response
hmm.
back in the day, what's the difference? Like, you just maybe didn't weren't as sarcastic as often. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's when's the last time you actually wrote a letter? Did you ever write one as a kid or anything?
I
I
did.
wrote
I
a
wrote
letter like
letters.
semi recently, but I don't write a lot.
Yeah, and like it's a very different way of thinking compared to the like weird snippets that as the back and forth of online conversation.
Because it's almost like when you write the letter, you are having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, like and you're having to like narrate and like really think through what it is you're saying.
Yeah.
And you're also not delivering one sentence amidst 40 other sentences of other people like all having different points.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. There's a sense of monologue to it. Like you have the spotlight, and there's a physical thing. Like your words, these words mattered enough that I had to give you an object to contain them.
and then also the fact that like I'm not going to write a one-page letter. It's going to
Yeah,
take it 3 months to get to you. I'm going to spend some fucking time and really
Yeah.
like in the hopes that when you write me back, it also won't be like here's a paragraph.
right.
That would be goddamn disappointing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel really lucky that like more than a couple of the girls that I fell for and had a nice little time of some kind or another with throughout the years. We're like into writing each other actual letters once we were apart or before
Hmm.
we got together or in these like really romantic ways of even just across town, like still mailing physical letters. I really love that.
I had a different experience with it recently because my wife was incarcerated. And I don't know. So, like, okay, I'll just tell the story. So, that's like super important when you're in there. And it really like is just it changes your whole day or week or whatever. And I wrote her all these ones that didn't get delivered.
Hmm.
Um, because I didn't know that you couldn't write a letter to someone else. Then we were in jail at the same time after a while, and I didn't know you couldn't write to someone in another jail. So when I got out and they gave me all my stuff, they handed me this pile of letters that had never got delivered, and they don't tell you that they didn't get delivered. They just put them in your stuff. And it was a really heavy thing. And by the time I could have gotten them to her, like, we were so estranged that she was like, "Don't ever send me those." And so I burned them. And it's like this whole, it's like that fucking Blade Runner quote, man. All these moments, you know. I watched attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I've seen sea beams glittering in the dark outside the Tannhauser Gate. You know, all these memories will be lost like tears in rain. And that's kind of heavy, whatever, like, but yeah, so I don't know why I told that, but we were talking about letters, and that was my letter experience.
Well, it's interesting because, like, in the last month or so of when I was the end of my relationship with my ex before my wife, like, we'd gotten to a really bad spot, and often what would happen is if we got really bad, and she would write a note or a letter and then leave it on my desk, and then I would read it. It would sort of like, it would be this like conciliatory, like, I'm gonna express myself, and like but that happened again the last time. I didn't even read it. I just tore it up. That's when I was like, this is over, because I'm like, I'm not even willing to try this, like, in this very like contained, because that's the other aspect of it, is like, you get to really contain your thoughts and feelings and like really nuancedly express them. But I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm so done with this. Like, I don't. And it's like, that's when I was like, yeah, this is seriously over.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, what I was thinking about when you're talking about letters is that you would also pore over them. Like, you'd revisit them multiple times. I don't revisit any of the conversations that I've had online. Not really. Like, maybe every now and then I might be like, oh, what was that one thing that somebody said? But it's so ephemeral.
You're not studying handwriting. That's the thing. There's something about, like, they've sculpted the words themselves.
So this connects to magic, right? Because when I read a prayer, even if it's a prayer that, like, what, like, I would say I took one of your prayers and wrote it down on a piece of paper, it's going to be so much more effective and like connective when I read it than when I read it off my phone. And so I've gotten into this habit of like reading shit off my phone, and I'm like, no, I used to write this stuff down in a book and read it out of a book. And there was something different about that I need to get back into it. But like, what
why? Well, it's interesting because if you put it in your own hand and you've like constructed it, like, I think you were starting to talk about this, Brian, like you actually like,
there's
another level of the prayer that you've engaged with. Like, you've, in a sense, you've made it your own, because it's turned into your own words, whether you even made those words or put them in that order. It doesn't matter.
Through me.
Yeah, it went through you to then be on that page. So there's an internalization that's happening there that is not the same. As that being said, you make me feel ashamed because I've never done that, so I should probably fucking do that.
Well, to second that, yeah, like, that's I have a book that I've consecrated in all sorts of creative ways. Like, it was kind of like, I'm gonna throw the book at this book.
Yeah,
was my idea, and so I wrapped it in a bunch of plastic bags, and I baptized it like down underneath the water, because like it others it, right? That there's a book shouldn't be in the water, right? Ever. And
Oh
I
wow.
was thinking of the Saint Cyprian, the deck consecration in the Jose Leitao Sorcerer's Treasure book. How I forget what the dates. I think it's on a Friday when the sun is at its peak. Um, you like wrap it in cloth and dump, like put it through an ocean wave, the deck of cards, to consecrate it for Cyprianic divination. And so I just kind of pulled from that and was like, so I did it in 3 different bodies of water. I wanted to do more, but it just didn't happen. And then like used like some way, like I basically called up all the daily angels and had them each bless the book and blah blah blah. But then
Wow.
and put all these little phylacteries and things like that I made separately and glued in to the covers, like on the front and back, and coated it in oil and things like that. But like, so when I write, it's the same experience. When I write a prayer in there, it's like I've written inside of myself. It is like it's inside me. Um, and when I
Yeah.
say it, it's like it comes from a slightly different place. And I found the same thing happens with Namo Dasa. Like after saying it a lot for a few months or whatever, um, Peter Jank says something about it getting into the body in the book, and I find that that's true. Like now when I say it, maybe the first however many will be coming from my mouth, and I have to kind of look at the way that the words and the shapes and the sounds are forming, and that triggers something coming from the very center, from like the belly, and then all of a sudden it's like riding on its own, and it's like they're coming out on their own, and I'm just like sitting there
Mm.
observing it. So I think there's something about the writing it that puts it in the same way that saying it over and over again puts it in.
Well, I can memorize it like that when I have written it. It's weird.
Yeah, that that's another point in that column then.
Yeah, definitely. That I never thought about it like that, but it's true. Like I was like, why can't I memorize shit? I never write it anymore.
And then write it down, burn it, put the ashes in a glass of water, and drink it.
Oh shit, yeah. Write it in honey on a sheet of seaweed, nori. It's cool. Yeah,
That sounds good.
and then eat it. Yeah,
Oh,
I used to do that for certain sigils if I wanted
oh,
them
that's
in.
nice.
If I wanted them in me. Um. Okay, that made me think also. Okay, because I've actually the way I say namatasa has changed,
Mm.
and that's man, I don't know if I've read that part yet or what, but like that's absolutely my experience too. Like it's like I'm it's like whereas before I was like I was kind of maybe like I don't know, I felt like I was stumbling through it. Now I feel like I'm singing it.
Mm.
And it's happening even in a different voice, you know? And like my
You
body's
might also be
moving.
getting partly possessed by Poor Solatan teaching you how to say it.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
it seems like as soon as you get a locket or a talisman that's connected to one of the Ajarans and it's like to them, there's something about that that immediately I was like, oh, this is how I say it. And
Yeah.
it just
Wow.
changed. So I don't know if the timing matches up for you there, but
No,
I know
that's exactly
Kurt.
the timing, dude.
Oh yeah, because I know when Kurt got his LP Top, Ling Portab locket, right? Like, didn't that happen to you too? Where it
Yeah,
was like,
I'm pretty sure I got possessed for a second.
yeah,
When I was saying it, because my voice like shifted even, and I felt that weird like I'm kind of behind myself while this is going on a little bit. Like
Yeah.
this is not exactly me. And I'm like the way my voice is sounding right now sounds like this is what an old Thai man would sound.
yeah.
Yeah. That weird like almost nasally kind of I don't know how to the Thai language is very strange. It's like a very yeah.
It's oddly comfortable to me to pronounce things that way. I don't know what that's about, but it just feels really well because the way that I was saying all my like animist or Christian prayers were um, had developed into becoming slower
Mm.
and with space in between each word. Even if it gets fast, it would be like Hail Mary, full of grace. the Lord is with thee. So there's, as long as there's a pause in between, my ADD doesn't get away from me, and like it pulls my attention with this percussive way. So the way that the guitars in the Thai occult and in Buddhism, like the way that they do them, I'm like, holy shit, this vibes for me. Because that like namo tassa pakapato, like I don't
every sound.
I don't get lost at all. Like I'm with it and I get entranced like so quickly comparatively.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I tend to say them pretty fast. They don't end up as, I'm probably saying them more like how an English speaker would actually say them versus how a Thai person would say them. But
yeah, actually mine has turned into that more, but
well,
it's somewhere in
I
between.
think it's just different. I think it's different all over the place in Thailand. Like it's like probably personal preference if it's fast or slow. It's Buddhism. I don't think there are that many wrong answers.
If there are, you turn into a toad.
Hell yeah, toad time, baby. Let's go. About to battle.
It's like, it's not Christianity. They're not going to tell me how to praise Buddha. just like don't point at the altar with your feet, you know? It's not a lot of huge things like that, it doesn't seem. But yeah, I know like well, our recordings of it, even throughout the group of us that got talismans and shared recordings that we got of the kata, like the namotasa was different in different recordings, and you go online and look at it and it's like sometimes it's aharato, sometimes it's arahato, like so yeah, I don't know. It seems like one that's just been so heavily ingrained in the human consciousness through years of repetition by very powerful people that like you pick a way and someone did it that way, and probably did it well. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, because what the recording I have of him, he's like, or maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like this is the one I like, or like he's like this is how I like to do it now.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it even changes for you. Cool, good to know.
Probably depending on who he's hanging out with.
Yeah,
I know
for real.
Like for me, it'd be like if I'm chanting with like this Ajaran this week, like however they do it's how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's like that's how we jamming at this moment.
I really want to learn more kata.
Like then you get a new recording. It's just like it's pronounced Ninja Mama, Pocketbook Toe.
Dude, there's a lot of mama. There's a lot of mama in there. Dude, Ninja Mama sounds cool.
That's got to be a club night somewhere, Ninja Mama.
Yeah.
Mama is come. It's like a beckoning.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Mama.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it has the translation for one of them in Thai called Book 1.
Huh.
Nama Pata is the 4 elements. Om, awakening the universe. Piyang. Piyang is dear beloved or desired object.
Oh, okay.
Piyang Mama, desired object. Come.
Oh, come. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
One of the Ajarans says that it like might ruin it for Westerners to hear that it's just very basic, right? But not for magicians.
Yeah,
like
no,
we hear that and it's like, yeah, I know you can repeat simple things and have them do things. Like that's why I'm like looking into using fucking and angelic / Enochian language to like translate some popular Christian prayers into that, but but really short ones, or write totally new ones that are just like you're using this mythical angelic speech that is supposed to be recognized by all of existence, like source code. And so if you just make simple things like the kata, and you use the right, like if you're giving offerings and you're projecting gratitude and your intention, if you're using samadhi to encode what you're saying, then like you're making your own heart kata for different purposes. So I'm like really wanting to play with that more.
I admire you for being able to do that. I tried that once and it was like, this is fucking impossible. Like because like I want to write it one way in English, but then I go through that dictionary and it's like half the words I'm using, there's not a translation for.
You have to stick them together like it's Danish or German or something.
Yeah, it's like really,
I like that.
really janky. Yeah,
I like how German does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. But it also, for me, when you just think about the vagueness of ideas and how like the spirits aren't necessarily hearing you in English. It's like the ideas and feelings that are encoded and carried in the cloud with the vocals, with the words, I think. So at least I think. So like in my mind, it doesn't matter as long as it's vague enough, or as long as it's specific enough to like hit the right color of energy or the right charge of like the point you're trying to get across.
mm.
And
it all becomes musical in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That makes me think of like singing angel prayers. It's just kind of like how they want to be said. Well, like there's that thing about like talking to angels in a graveyard with a sing-songy voice.
Huh? Yeah.
I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to like throat sing their names.
Nice.
Yeah. I do that too.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on a good day, I can get two tones, like a lower throat and then like a higher.
Yeah, I want to be able to do that, like that scene out of the new Dune. I want to be able to
the Sardaukars.
Yeah, but like the thing is like I think my tendency is actually to do more of the like really high pitched whistly thing that comes out. Like that's developed recently, and like it's like I'm not gonna be the cool like.
Man, that's how I've been saying Namatasa. Is like num, starting out like num, but like vibrating it as much as I can.
Yeah,
and then leading into the rest of it. I don't know why. It just felt good. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. There was I watched a video once about someone talking about saying Om, and they said that the key is that like at the end, the hum is you have to touch your tongue to the back of your teeth, your bottom teeth. And if you try it, it's crazy because it vibrates way deep into your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lur. Does anybody else have the Lursi kata?
Which one is it?
That one, the Lur.
No, I don't have. It's funny, I don't have that one. No,
that shit is unbelievable. I don't know which one he referenced. He references one in the book and says that it's amazing and like it's like an education just to watch someone do it because it takes your whole torso. And like in the recording for this one, he said you have to use your whole body. Like your whole body. So I'm thinking he said like give it some force with your stomach. So I'm thinking it is, but it's like lur. Like you kind of say like when I get in the zone with it, it's like lower. Like I'm not getting the throat opened right now, but like if I'm in the right posture and it's open and it hits low, I go to places that are like thick jungle and I'm doing this sound and I'm hearing frogs in the background that sound a lot like it.
Yeah.
And then like I get the feeling of other people, like, and there's this bobbing that happens that lure because you're tightening your stomach muscles. So there's this like frogs doing this thing with their like and other monks and ascetics like around in the jungle that you're sensing. Like I just go to this fucking crazy place when I get in the zone with that one. Like doing 108 of those like is amazing. I highly recommend Om Lur. And I think it's just Harkata for Lursi that's like universal, because I've done it without like plenty without the amulet being involved, and it hits just as hard.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to try that because I have 2 Lursi and neither one of them came with that.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me of how the Rahu one is. The Harkata for it is really simple. It's just ma jawa.
Oh, nice. I love that.
Yeah, and when you do it 108 times, it like does something weird to your fucking head, man. Which is interesting because Rahu's a head. It like it's you use your whole head and jaw to do it. Like it's weird. I don't know how to describe it. We're not sharing
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it matters. I don't know if it
information,
matters. It's like if you don't, I mean, if you don't have the amulets, does it? Well, I don't know.
Well,
the only one I feel weird about is that there's one that I got for my my Lekli that is like, you're not supposed to write this down. So I'm like, well, maybe I should share that one then.
Jinx says in the new book that people have asked like for all of them, and he's like, it doesn't matter if you don't have the amulet.
Okay, cool.
So I don't think you're doing anything bad by sharing it.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I was sharing someone's like
super secret,
someone's shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're making this all up, people. This is all nonsense.
My favorite one is the one for Luangpopina's all amulet, like his standard amulet one. And it's just beautiful. It's like Puntang Kanteng Saranan A, Puntang Kanteng Saranan A, Putanamo Ya, Nate Sute Mahasute Nacha. And it gets stuck in my head. And
I love it when they get stuck in your head, dude.
4 mornings in a row, I woke up and it was playing like a song. And I was just like, that's so beautiful. And it's, Pry from a holy, like a nun, like a Buddhist nun who died in an accident. So it's like this beautiful woman singing the kata to me in the morning. And it was just the most magical thing.
That's really cool. Yeah, so some of them remind me a little bit of like they have just vowels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like kind of just like it's like vibrating vowels, which reminds me of like a lot of the ancient Christian prayers, man.
Yeah,
it's PGM shit.
Yes,
it's like Greek alphabet, holy stuff.
Which just if some of those you just do and it just turns into like, ah! You're just like bellowing shit out in the universe, because it's just like, how do you put E-I-E-I-E-I-E 300 letters in a row? What does that
how do you
sound
pronounce
like?
7 U's?
Yeah.
But then like in like some of that stuff.
I am old MacDonald who had the farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Oh damn, we should make that and see if it works. Draw the livestock to me.
Wait, old MacDonald's an Archon? No.
McDonald. Yeah, there's something there.
Sold. That's I would if I was the Sardaukar chant guy, I would have worked that in for sure.
make sure to conjure the Big Mac and work your way. Then you have to like work through the Big Mac to get down to the dollar menu items.
Yeah,
because it's a hierarchy. You have
to. And dude, if you're gonna talk to the Grimace, you're gonna make. Gotta make sure you haven't been working with the Hamburglar, you know?
Oh, great purple mystery. Unknown shambling monster. What are you?
Oh, flesh wrapped in plush.
Dude. Okay, so that got put into the collective unconsciousness. Like, what? What happens when you create a mythology that's based on hamburgers and French fries and insert that into the collective unconsciousness through commercials? Like, that's magic. But like, what is being done there? I think it's kind of maybe not advisable.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird because it's real, but it's real and like, but it's all two-dimensional. Like it's like everything is like a flat.
Dude,
Like,
this is what
But couldn't there be medicine for it? Like what if we wrote our own
we are.
like, well, of the McDonald's. Like, you take the one that's already in the collective unconscious and then you make it something legit, and you're like, you write this anthology of all these
Well,
characters.
maybe that's who Agrippa McRib works with. Not to speaking.
Oh my God, we're
of
doing
turn.
it! Oh my God, you're right.
We
You're
are.
right. We are doing it. Oh my God. Holy shit. Oh wow. Okay, for our listeners, are we allowed to tease this at least?
yeah, that's fine.
It might never
I have
happen,
to.
and
I have
people
to.
don't care.
And
Yeah, I have to.
no, they
I
don't
have
care,
to,
and they're not listening. Maybe.
yeah, I have to fucking. I got to sit down and finish mine, but yeah,
I got to start mine, but yeah.
Yeah, I started strong, and then I don't know what the fuck's going on now, but winter's coming, and winter is time when I write and I sit still a lot more. But yeah, we're all gonna work on a character that's gonna be in a universe. Like it's a multi-dimensional, multi-universal character. So there don't have to be any consistencies between our own iterations of the character. And I think all that we are gonna tell you for now is that his name is Agrippa McRib, Hobo Shaman.
Oh man, and even the way that came about is almost kind of because what was it like? It was a miss. It was misheard,
yeah.
right? It was a
Yeah.
malaprop.
I don't even actually remember how it happened.
I'm trying to.
I think Tim said McRib,
I think
and
I
then
said McRib is back. Oh, we were talking about we were actually talking about magicians returning in like other lives or something. Well, no, maybe we.
I just remember you said McRib, and then Brian
I
heard
said McRib is
Agrippa.
back.
Yeah, and then Brian heard Agrippa and was like shitting on Agrippa. Somehow they turned.
Dude, the coming of the McRib.
McGrippa. Yeah, I think that's McDonald's trying to like write Agrippa out of our consciousness. It just makes something that sounds like it. It's total trash and addictive. Yeah, it's like pretty much styrofoam and crack cocaine, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe some MSG.
Well, mine was centered around the big chicken, Agrippa McRib, and he worships the big chicken.
Which ties into Nightbird Radio being.
Dude, I've got a lot of chicken stuff going on, man.
Yeah. And I mean I have fucking 13 chickens out in the barn right now.
Nice.
Yeah, it goes deep. I don't know why, but I keep imagining all of Agrippa's tales being like I know mine takes place. It's going to be taking place somewhere, Appalachia, around those parts.
Oh, interesting. Mine is set directly around the big chicken in Marietta.
Yeah.
Oh, Marietta, Georgia.
In fact, I'm trying to decide if I should wait to talk
Wait,
about any of this.
you should
Yeah,
wait,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially with something like I feel like okay, when I talk about the story I'm writing, it's
it takes
almost like
energy out of it.
yeah,
Yeah, it deflates it a bit.
it's
Yeah,
kind of like like doing a working too, like like
yeah.
I don't know how much of that is like my brain associating like talking about it. It can't tell the difference between talking about it and doing it, and so it derives the satisfaction. And this is a totally materialist like explanation, right? But whatever. Like there's something about okay, I'm going to start over and try to do this better. There's something about when I talk about something I'm going to do that totally takes the wind out of doing that thing. And so like I've actually been like learning this a lot because I really like to talk about shit.
Hmm.
But like my spirits have actually been like stop. And not like you never can talk about this again. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like try not talking about it. And like I feel like it's it's almost like the power remains in the system that I'm working within and it like supercharges it. Do you have that
It's
experience at all?
it's like incubating a seed
Yeah.
because, and I actually have this theory that the whatever it is that hates life so much that it keeps popping back up every few hundred years and creating an empire. um, that whatever that thing is, I think it crafted like social media emerged into the world, places like Twitter, that it's so that you have a half-formed idea or just like the
mm.
beginning of an idea, and you go and you share it before it has a chance to grow
Oh
into an
shit.
actual worthwhile, life-changing, world-changing product.
Yeah, it's
So
poking
like,
holes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's draining the bucket before it can fill up enough to like, yeah, to go make a
Derezzing
sandcastle. Yeah, it's crazy. I think about all the art that isn't being made because
of fucking Twitter.
people aren't sitting there with their feeling and letting it like fester and grow and evolve and going through that internal alchemy until it splatters out onto a canvas or like, fucking whatever. It gets shared and then it's done. And I get this because I feel like I don't know. I'd like to know what the humor is for this, but the humor theory behind it. But I feel like I'm very steamy. Like I have a lot of earth like sedimentary kind of stuff going on in my chart, but it's all very low hum. And then I feel like I have elementally speaking, there's this sense of hot water where like I boil easily and like always have, and there's steam. So like if I do something that annoys me in the moment, I'll be like, fuck, goddamn, fuck. And then I don't carry any of it with me.
Mm.
Right. And if something annoys me that someone does, like I might go to someone who's close to me and complain about that thing like an asshole for 30 seconds.
Hmm.
And then I'm over it forever and I'll never think of it again.
Yeah.
But whereas if I didn't let that little bit of steam out of the valve, I might treat them differently the next time I talk to them because I've got a lot of Scorpio going on in my chart. And
Yeah, I
like
can see that.
so I think about that same mechanic in these other terms. And if you're letting the steam out before it's ready to or whatever, I think it's different than steam. It's more like life growing, more like something forming into what it wants to become. Yeah, just imagine all the art that isn't being made because people just tweet instead of letting that feeling, even the frustration of not sharing something and not being understood, like uh, that's where art comes from, like
Yeah.
a lot of the time. Um,
That's
that's why you take the trouble to write the whole fucking book. So, sorry, but
no, it's interesting what you're talking about, like having to express uh that agitation because I have that thing like uh, my wife has a hard time understanding that. Like I'll get upset and like she wants to calm me down and I'm like, no, just let me do this and then it's over. like let me express this, and then you like I won't be mad anymore. But you wanting to contain this is just going to make me stew on it, and it's just never going to go away. It's like I just need to get this out of it, and then like we could deal with it, but just like let me be upset. Yeah. That's a funny
Yeah, it's
thing.
like when the wind gets knocked out of you and you're like, just let me be dead for a second. And but like people are running up to check on you, you're like, go away.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you stub your toe and are you okay? It's like, shut the fuck up, I'm hurting. And then you have to apologize later. And
Yeah.
so you're in pain and you're in shame, like all because someone else wanted to help when they couldn't anyway. It's interesting how often we're kind for ourselves and not for the other person.
A
In
lot.
in those little ways, yeah. Like even really selfless people don't see how selfish they are,
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
Well, there's like, so, yeah, because a lot of it is still me wanting it to come out the way that I want it to be instead of me being okay with however it's going to be. You know what I mean? Which is okay, but like, it's not helping much.
You mean like the idea of perfecting a thing? or like
kind of like helping someone in a selfish way, like you're talking about. Like, it's like a lot of the time, like the way that works, right, is like me wanting it to be okay so that I'll feel okay about it because that's the way that I want it to be, rather than me learning to be okay with how it is.
Okay.
Not that we should never try to change anything, but like, I don't know. That might be a tangent. But like,
oh no, not a tangent.
we'd never do that. This whole thing is a tangent.
It's just a big ramble, which is
Yeah.
which I mean that's what most conversations are. They just drift to different locations. I think I know. I think I understand what you're saying.
It's kind of a very specific,
There's
area
a
of that.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, well, like the thing, like running up to help. Like, what are you actually going to do for me if the air has been knocked out of my lungs? Are you gonna fucking put it back in? So, like, really, you are trying to help for yourself because you can't handle watching that happen to me. It
Yeah,
has nothing
it's
to do
like,
with me.
oh, they care. Well,
Yeah.
yes, they. What is it specifically that they care about in that moment? It's the emotions of the trauma of seeing someone they like, or just another human, be, in that state. And
Yeah.
like, what's important for the person who needs to catch their breath is to relax and to focus and to not be assaulted with questions they can't answer because they don't have any breath in their lungs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and that kind of nuance is what drove me almost to insanity when I was a child. Just
Yeah.
analyzing every little like, but this doesn't actually mean, and just no one ever wanting to fucking hear it, and I'm like genuinely trying to explore this, like, well, but they say this, and then but
Yeah.
no one wants to talk about it. Okay, I guess I'll learn to try and ignore this stuff.
Push it down deep.
Didn't work that well.
Yeah.
It's not staying down. I need more drugs. Well, now no one wants to hang out with me. What the fuck does it take?
Yeah. It's brutal, man.
Yeah, we'll just incarnate better next time. That's what I'm gonna do. Just show up in Thailand or something. Just grow up and get adopted by an Ajaran at age 8 and get some shit done.
Right? I think I might take some time off. You know,
It's gonna be a penguin a couple lives. Just be a penguin.
it's like stay disincarnate, stay a fucking spirit for a while.
That might not be bad. I mean, I honestly don't think that I wanted to be incarnate at all this time around. I distinctly remember no, you have to fucking getting pushed in.
Press ganged into the apocalypse, huh? Bummer, dude.
Either that or it was like maybe I just had second thoughts at the last minute.
Oh
they're
yeah,
like,
like
no,
like
you already said
skydiving.
yes, yeah.
I've never been skydiving, but I imagine that's what it would be like, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'd be riding home in the plane.
It's
Yeah.
the it's the kid with the when the buckle thing comes down on the roller coaster. It's like, oh
Yeah.
fuck.
It's like when you're taking a perfectly safe cliff dive, but then you hesitate at the end and like bust your head open because you hesitated.
Yeah. I always have that moment where when you're faced with that sort of fear, I revert to being a child. And in that moment, I like grasp for anything, any excuse. And I always land on do not tempt the Lord thy God. Like
Yeah.
and I'm like, you're not religious, you fucking coward.
Yeah. Wait, how many grams was that? Oh no. Yeah.
I don't feel it
No,
yet, bro. I'm gonna take more.
that's only ever happened to me with acid, I think.
Woo.
That's like, yeah. Well, it's been an hour and a half and I don't feel anything. I either got ripped off or it's just really weak. And either way, taking one or two more is going to be fine. And then, like, 10 minutes after that, you're high as fuck and you're like, oh no.
This is just the first peak.
this, this is the sandbar.
I do that with everything, man.
Yeah. We have like there are probably 60 amanitas in our yard right now. And like 60 in the front yard out front. And nowhere else in our village have I seen any.
Oh wow.
And like
Dang.
the patron saint of our place, of our this place before the Reformation, like when it was built, Saint Nicholas of Myra. Like the one that eventually got woven into fairy lore and handed out amanitas at Christmas. Like it's a little on the nose. It's pretty cool.
Well, you have to tell us how those are.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm
Yeah.
scared. I'm scared of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you have to dry them out and then uh boy, there's a lady Amanita Dreamer that talks about doing them.
Hmm.
Um
Check that
yeah,
out. Yeah, I
it's
know
what
I know kind of like what you need to do. It's just the idea that I've read about it a bit, and it's totally random what that experience will be like. Well, not
yeah,
random, but the parameters are beyond your knowing, and it doesn't matter if you do everything right. It can be violent and painful, or you can go crazy, or it can be enlightening and empowering.
Dealer's
Uh,
choice, huh?
and you ain't the dealer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think making like a tincture and doing a couple drops and then meditating for a while, and just testing your dosage over time.
I thought it evened out if you drank the piss of someone that ate it first. Is that just a myth?
No, that's real.
Cool.
There's actually I have a good book. Well, some of it's good, some of it's presumptuous, but a book about magic mushrooms and religion, alchemy. I don't know, or is it the mushrooms and Christian art one? One of those books has some cool stuff about Krishna and being blue and the myth of like holding up the mountain and then like think about a blue skinny thing holding up a mountaintop, which looks a lot like a psilocybin mushroom, being bruised. And there's really really cool symbolism stuff analyzed in there, but some of it, like I said, is a bit meh, um, but there's some good stuff, and it goes into how that's recorded that there are a lot of gurus and teachers that would basically feed their piss to their disciples. It's also a thing in Sami tradition, drinking reindeer piss.
Yeah, that's why the reindeer isn't okay.
That's what the flying,
Yeah. Like
So Santa
they help you fly.
Again, Santa's Saint Nicholas, fairies and reindeer somehow. Did you know there were cults of Saint Nicholas? Like, because Saint Nicholas is a very magical, like, it was very worshipped and venerated as a magical saint that performed miracles and gave gifts and things. And I've never worked with him really in that way. I've just given him like homage and incense and things for like, hey, I live in your house. So like he always gets one when I get a new amulet on top of what I give the land spirits.
That would make sense.
And any working I do is better if I address him and say thanks. But yeah, I've never worked with him beyond that. I think it'd be kind of fun to try. But I just think it's really interesting. He was just huge in these parts, like in Northern Europe and in Germany. Like there were cults. It's fascinating.
Do you think that's points towards him being having some Odin connection? Because you'd think like that's a good cover.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know.
I know there's that people say that, and I don't know anything about.
I've never heard that.
Oh yeah.
But it could be. I've heard the patron saint of Denmark, who was the last king of Denmark. He was killed by his own people. So there's this interesting like romantic death thing that happened, and it happened in Odense, which is Odin's sanctuary. It translates to. So
didn't he also have one eye or something?
I don't think Canute had one eye.
Okay.
But or Canute, I don't remember how it's said, but it's not a very rare name in this part of the world. But like he was killed by his own people in the town that's called Odin's sanctuary. And he was called the last Viking king of Denmark. So there's this really interesting, like, after that it became much more Christian, and it changed a lot. But it's also said that he was an incarnation of Odin, that he was actually Odin. So the idea of like, before Christianity really came in, his own people literally murdered him in his sanctuary. Like that's the myth that emerges when the people of Denmark say Saint Canute, it's actually Odin. Was like, we murdered our own god in his sanctuary and then ushered in the new era.
So that's almost exactly like what happened to Christ.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Except his the new era was his, though, right? Christ.
Hold on, my internet connection's messing up, so I can't understand you.
Odin was getting ushered out. Oh.
Or was he? Yeah. I have different opinions on that. I think he kind of snuck in. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I
had a weird delay. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. It's like a reversey Uno card.
You're saying he basically gets killed as Odin so he can come back in a disguise. It's like, hey, I'm Jesus now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that kind of
yeah? Because there was something that fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. there was something I asked Odin one time, and I said, How do you feel about being completely subsumed by this other religion?" And what he said was, "How do you know they weren't subsumed by me?" And this idea of like worshiping a hanging corpse, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. That could also
feel
be
like,
just.
well, I have personal feelings about how there's an archetype of like super all important man and slash god type uh, that I think is, it might just be like, there might just be like one really big being that has like a kaleidoscope of aspects or something, because I've had experiences with where like Jesus and Lucifer were like imagine like a diamond cut, and like different, like the top point was one and the bottom point was the other. They were just like these different aspects of the same shape of this purity, intensity, and knowledge, just delivered in different ways. Um, and yeah, I don't know. There's something to the way that they all sort of, there aren't hard lines, I don't think, between spirits.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, they kind of bleed, and you can almost like follow one to the other. And in between, there's probably all these weird forgotten deities that, throughout history, and
Yeah.
Are yet to be met.
yeah,
Because, like, I like the emanatory cosmology, right? Like, and I don't, right, like, just to think with, can't know how it really is, right? Or like, I'm never going to say definitively, but I just like that concept. I think it leaves a lot of room, and that's kind of like it is a spectrum of things. Um, damn, there was something I was about to say. I was going there somewhere with that, and I lost it, man. Mm. Oh well.
Emanatory model, like different masks of the same god. Um, I'm trying to see if I can jog it for you. The blending and the in between of different gods.
No, I don't, it's gone, man. I don't know.
Okay.
I might be spent, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm hungry. And we talked for like an hour before we started
We
recording
did.
because it was just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, it's like 1:30 and I'm supposed to go to church in the morning.
Oh boy.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
No, it's all in Danish, so I can only understand every 10th word. But
does it conk you out? Do you fall asleep a lot?
oh, actually, there are two baptisms tomorrow, and they're both in English.
Oh.
I just found out there's somebody from Michigan living in this village.
Oh shit, that's awesome, dude.
And my family is from Ohio, and I was like,
I'm
when
from
I finally
Michigan.
when I finally ride into them, I'm gonna be like, "Go Buckeyes!"
Dude, that will be a surreal experience, man.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, "No, you're a Buckeyes fan," and I'll be like, "No, I don't really care. I'm from Florida."
Hell yeah,
Well, yeah,
man.
this has been a good our 20th episode, and a nice way to do a swapcast with our like sister show, and
Yeah.
and also give teasers for the episodes where you'll be on, where we do some things that were deeply encoded in this one.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a great time talking to you guys, as always.
Thanks for having Go ahead, Kurt.
No, I was waiting for the motorcycle to go by. Do you still hear it?
No, it's gone now.
Oh.
That was Ed Harris.
Yeah. Haunting us.
Yeah.
He'll never leave
For
us.
talking shit. I heard what you said. That was my Ed Harris impression. It wasn't really different from my own voice. I'm gonna put you in a Truman Show.
I'm gonna
put
from
you
the top
in
rope, the Truman Show.
I'm gonna put you in a Westworld.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I know.
He loves being a demiurge. Typecast as the demiurge.
Yeah, he just lost his looks a little young, you know? He just started looking a little bulbous, gnarled. Like that,
yeah.
like that fairy author or artist. That artist who does the fairy art, like Potato.
Brian Froud.
Yeah, Brian
Oh,
Froud.
What happened to him? Did he wither or something? I don't know about
No,
that.
he's just always looked like a gnome. He just looks more like a gnome every day.
That's probably why he's so good at gnome drawings.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing about him. He won't let anyone in his studio. No one has ever been in his studio
because there's fairies in there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
yeah. Like
nice.
His wife, his kid is no one's allowed in. You can stand at the door and look in, but you can't step over the threshold.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, I like that. I think places are important. Like if you can. I think ideally everyone should have a home where like each room has a designated function, and you never work in the bedroom, and you never sleep in the
yeah dude. So like, have you ever gotten real depressed and you start eating in bed a bunch?
Yeah,
it fucks your shit up.
Yeah,
and that's a very technical thing I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not good at talking anymore.
Well, doing like when I took like a year's worth of college, and when I did it in like laying in bed and studying and writing papers, that fucks your world, because like you go into bed to go and you can go into that hyper focus mode again.
Yeah,
that's just a recipe for insomnia right there.
Yeah, and if you think about it, that's like you're expected. A lot of people like go to dorms, and it's fucking crazy. Like you do everything from the same bed.
Yeah, that reminds me of something a friend of mine told me once, where he was like, this is one morning I poured myself a bowl of Cheerios and I started eating it, and then I really had to take a shit, so I went to the bathroom and I sat down and I was eating the Cheerios while taking a shit, and then I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
this is wrong.
Yeah. Is that a bridge too close?
Yeah, just pour the Cheerios into the toilet. Like, what are you waiting on? Yeah.
Right, yeah. Like, just cut out the middleman completely. That's like a one-person human centipede. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it sure took me to a place.
I think that's the perfect ending.
Yeah, the Ouroboros. Hell yeah.
All right.
Y'all have a great night.
You too, man.